Hello folks and welcome to the Vertigo Tea Party and let's try Gods Will Be Watching. It's developed by Deconstruct Team, published by Devolver, releases on July 24th, 2014. You can pick it up for $9.99 for Windows, Mac, and Linux. You can buy it on Steam, or you can get it DRM free from their official site. All relevant links will be in the description below the video. It does support Steam achievements and has cloud support. So let's hop right in. I'm actually going to do chapter select and pick the first chapter, which I know seems a little bit weird. We're going to do original. You can also do easy. I don't know if a hard difficulty is unlocked later. I have not beat the game yet, but we're going to go ahead and do original. And it gives you different save files. This is my current save file on chapter 3. So we're going to go back to chapter 1. We're going to override that file just to test. And I will be reading the text here just so you can get a good idea what's going on. You chose the wrong nation to mess with. We got company! The hacking system is ready. Liam, the hostages are secured. Please don't hurt my crew. We don't have any access codes. Good work, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention for a minute? The siege is an act of xenolifer. You are being held as our guests while we retrieve your outstanding research data on the Medusa virus. Seriously, good job analyzing that little bitch. The revolution will greatly benefit from the contribution to the scientific community. Now, let my friends do their work and I promise nothing will happen to you. Jack, don't let those damn guards get near us. I got them, boss. Shaman, keep the network stable while I hack into their database. I'm looking forward to seeing the power of your improved hack tool boost firsthand. They won't see me coming. And you, Abraham, you are in charge while I'm plugged into this thing. Mind the hostages. Don't let them get comfortable that they think they can save themselves. Ignore them for too long, though, and you'll have a revolt on your hands. One thing I am finding out after the fact, you have to be very, very specific on paying attention to exactly what they say. Because there are very little hints there telling you things that might not be obvious. So not all of this is flavor text. Some of it is very important, and we'll go over that in just a minute. I don't think the text goes on for too much longer, so you can sit on your hands and just wait. Don't scare them to the point of trying a suicide escape either. While I'm plugged in, I'm counting on you to lead the team in their tasks. Aid Jack with the negotiations while keeping an eye on Shaman's work and the network status. Basically, keep the situation under control until my hacking reaches 100%, and our mission will be complete. My pleasure. And Abraham, don't hesitate to ask us anything. That won't take much time. Xenolifer. Let's do this. Xenolifer, by the way. Am I saying that right? Because it sounds a little ridiculous. Alright, so now you can actually play the game. Now, this is a turn-based game. It doesn't look like it, but it's turn-based. So a lot of things you can do. I can click on this guy, for example, and you notice how some things highlight in green, some highlight in red. Green means it doesn't take any time. In other words, no game progress will go forward if I choose this. So I can say hack the camera because that's green, and I want you to show the corridor, and we can see the troops over here. We can also move ourselves over to get an idea. I like this music, by the way. I think this game has good music. I mean, there's also a break room. We're not going to bother going into that. So the big premise, the big sell for this game is that you've got to make decisions. There's no evil. There's no good. There's just survival. You have to do what you have to do to either survive, complete your mission, whatever your priorities are. And a lot of times you have to make sacrifices. Usually those sacrifices are other people, because if the main character here that I'm controlling dies, game's over. So sacrifices pretty much always revolve around killing or letting other people get maimed. I like this idea as a theory, and we'll get into the parts that I don't like in a little bit. So the goal here is we're juggling a few different things, as he mentioned. Here we've got Liam, he's hacking. Here's our hacking progress, which is to say it's not very far. By the way, this is not 100%, this is 50%, as I found out the hard way. Security, if security drops below, basically, the way I understand the security to work is that the percentage is the chance that you will not be stopped from hacking, if that makes any sense. So what's at 100%, you have 0% chance of being hacked against. Once you start to get below 60%, you're going to get hacked very, very soon. Hack boost, this gives him a boost to hacking. So, and this percentage is the chance that the hack boost will succeed. If the hack boost fails, security drops. He can't hack anymore until you secure the security system. So that's the most of the computery type stuff. Now these boys out here, boys and girls maybe, I don't know, I can't tell. Let's call them genderless man. These folks will move forward on you, and if they get all the way here, they will shoot you with grenades, which doesn't make a lot of sense, and we'll go into that in a little bit as well. And this little dude back here is just the hacking, I suppose, hacking guy. So him, Jack, is in charge of doing stuff with the guards to keep them from coming towards us. We also have medical supplies, which we might need to use to heal people in need. And the last thing we have to worry about are the various hostages. Now, the reason supposedly that these guys aren't just opening up on us is because we have the hostages. Well, if we lose all the hostages or even get down to one hostage, they become much more aggressive. They will also, if they get to the door, they'll shoot the grenade into the room. Now, if they're not trying to kill the hostages, I don't see why they're like, well, we won't shoot from back here. But if there's, you know, if we get to the door, we'll shoot. I think the idea is they're shooting a flash grenade in here and it's just knocking us all out. I swear I've actually seen them shoot the flash grenades from further behind, like from almost back to where they are from over here when I still had hostages alive, but I wasn't able to recreate that. So we're just going to say I was mistaken about that, because that would make absolutely no sense if they said, well, you've only got one hostage left, screw it, we're going to shoot the grenade at you. But they do that anyway when they get close. I don't know. It doesn't make too much sense. So we'll just say I'm mistaken about that. So that's the scenario that you're in. The last thing we need to talk about, sorry, I kind of got distracted. The hostages. You have to worry about the hostages. And you'll notice they're kind of scrunched up. Their hands are on their knees. They're not freaking out. They're not too relaxed. You can't let the hostages get too freaked out, or they'll make a run for it. But you also can't let them get too calm, because they'll run. That doesn't make any damn sense to me, that if the hostages are super calm, they'll just decide, F it, I'm gonna run, despite these two guys having guns. And especially if you shoot them, other hostages trying to run, they get super calm and they think, I could make it. Doesn't make any sense. There's a few logical problems with this game that I've run into so far. So let's go ahead and start showing the gameplay here. Now, these guys are way back. The army guys are way back. And we want them to stay back. So first, we're going to talk to Jack. We're going to say, look, negotiate. And you notice it's red, so we're going to move forward. He's going to say, don't you take another step or people will start dying in here. Okay, take it easy. We're holding our position. Now, they'll hold position for a while. That's a great way to keep them back, because anytime you have him shoot, this pushes the guards backwards, but it gets these guys a little freaked out. And they're still pretty calm. So the best thing I think to do at this point, we have 91% security. Again, security drop, and the hacking progress has started just barely. So Shaman, go ahead, and you can also talk to all these NPCs, and it's actually useful to do so, because a lot of times they will tell you very useful things. However, one problem that I ran into is that one time I talked to somebody twice in a row, and they said the same thing twice in a row. And I thought, oh, okay, this is typical video game things. If they say the same thing twice in a row, that means they don't have anything else to say. Well, it turns out he did have some very useful information to say afterwards. But it's definitely very handy to talk to NPCs, because it doesn't use up any of your time. So, let's see, they didn't move much. We still got 91% security. So let's go ahead and charge the hack boost. So you can see our hack boost success rate improved. And our security dropped, because the security is just going to drop over time. These guys are still back. These guys are still calm. So we're still at 80% security. So let's go ahead and charge another hack boost. These guys, I don't think they moved. The guards didn't move. So security's getting a little low, but let's go ahead and charge a hack boost again. Now we're starting to have a problem. 64% security, we're getting low. I found consistently once we go below 60%, we're gonna lose control very, very quickly. However, we have a problem. She's starting to cry, which means she's getting close to running. How do I know that? This is my #1 problem with this game. My absolute, by far, #1 problem with this game. It is incredibly trial and error. It is built around the idea that you're going to play every single stage over and over and over again, because a lot of this stuff isn't intuitive and you have to just try it, and it's like, oh, well, that does that. Well, I guess I'll know next time. Or this is the order that this happens. I had no way of knowing that originally. I'll know next time I do it. I do not like that at all. I hate trial and error gameplay generally. I really hate doing the same things over and over again. So, and this is going to be a common theme when I talk about this game. But when it's calm her down, let's talk to her, say, hey, calm down. Now, there's another interesting little tidbit that if you talk to Liam, he'll tell you, which is why, again, it's very important you talk to folks. If you talk to this guy, the bearded guy is their leader. So anything you do for him affects the others even more severely, I guess you could say. So we're going to hold off on that, but I'm just going to talk to her and calm her down. Also, anything you do to any individual will affect all of them, but the effect is larger when you talk to him or do it to him. So we're going to calm her down and chat. Just, hey, relax, chill out. And this guy relaxed a little bit more because he's got one leg out, right? One leg out means pretty calm. Two legs out means super calm to the point that they're about to run. Now we have a problem. Security is 55%. Those guys are starting to move in again. So Shaman, go ahead and reinforce security. Bring it back to 100%. These guys are still about where they were. She's still kind of freaked out. The guards are getting a little too close, so I don't like that. So you go ahead and negotiate. All right, they're going to hold position. Now, he's a little too calm. He's got two legs out. He's too relaxed. So, hey. Now, we can see this guy's still pretty tense. She's really tense, and he's still in the middle. So I don't want to hit him because remember, if we yell or do something to him, these guys will freak out more. We only want to nudge this guy. So we're going to actually go and shout at him. We can actually shoot him. We can kick him. Don't waste my time, scum. So we got him, relaxed enough to he's lost, back to one leg. Not quite as much as I would have liked. If I'd have kicked him, he would have probably went back to two. But she's crying now, which is a bit of a problem. So we don't want her running away. So let's do this instead. Let's send her to the break room. Because I think the different NPCs have different personalities. She seems to get more worked up quicker than the others, as far as I can tell. Which again, you only really learn from playing a stage over and over again. So our security is 71%. It's not bad. These guys are halted. Let's go ahead and do a hack boost. Oh. And unfortunately, even with our high chance, they did get hacked. So let's go ahead and reinforce security because while this is happening, he cannot hack. We do not want that. So reinforce security. These guys are moving forward. Can't have that. You need to negotiate. Get them to stop. He's saying he's distracted. I don't really like that. You're getting a little too calm. I think these guys are a little too calm. I think we need to have a little kick time, little boot time. So all right, they're a little less relaxed, even though he's sticking one leg out. So that's actually almost like he's almost more relaxed. I don't quite understand. So you can use some synergy here, right? You can kind of synergize this stuff. What I mean is, if these all three start to get a little too calm, and the guards are getting too close, maybe go ahead and use him to shoot, which we're going to do. And keep in mind, I'm playing this to kind of show you how this works, not necessarily to win. So just kind of show you how this works. Go ahead and attack. Push them back. Now these guys will be a little bit more nervous. Now this guy's still kind of like, yeah, whatever. A little gunfire, no big deal. Let's go check on the break room real quick. And while we're doing that, like I said, I want to talk about this game. I really like the idea of this game. I really like the idea. Okay, she's still crying, so we're just gonna leave her be. We can also hack the camera to switch to her. You can switch back and forth switch the camera back and forth between the hall and the break room, but I just kind of wanted to show you, and it's kind of tedious to switch back and forth. One of my big problems is I love the idea of this game. I like the idea of your choices matter. They carry over in the future chapters. You have to make the choices to sacrifice people being injured, permanently maimed, or even killed, and then not available later on. So it feels like your choices have a lot of weight. The problem I have is it's, like I say, very, very trial and error. and you end up doing the same stage over and over. And I've heard people describe this game as hard. I would definitely not describe this game as difficult. Let's go ahead and have him reinforce security. So I'm trying to mix up playing it with describing it. Let's go ahead and actually charge a hack boost. All right, he's getting a little nervous. Now he's getting a little bit too relaxed. So we're going to go kick him. I don't like him. He's too spread out. Chill out. Let's go ahead and have him switch the camera to the break room. How is she doing? Because you don't want her too calm, because believe it or not, they will get so calm in the break room that they just make a sprint for it. You also don't want to send 2 people to the break room at the same time, or else they'll actually make an escape plan and run for it, which I've not done, but they said, but supposedly will do. I don't know the various animations for how calm and whatnot they are in the break room, to be honest. So I'm going to let her stay in there a little bit longer. Oops, I want to move. But yeah, this I don't know. I'll talk a little bit. Let's tell you what. Let's focus on just me playing it, and I'll kind of give anecdotes as we're talking. But I'll kind of give a wrap up once we go a little bit further here. Anyway, so security is definitely too low, 49%. First off, switch the camera to the corridor, because that's more important. Those guys are backed up pretty far, the army guys. So let's go ahead and reinforce security. Get that back to 100%. That can't ever fail, by the way. And let's see, those guys are moving up. I really like to use negotiate a lot, as you can tell, because it keeps them back. So let's go ahead and switch the camera to her in the break room, see what she's doing. That looks kind of calm. It looks like she's kind of ready to make a run for it. Can I just... Oh, I was going to say, can I just yell at the TV and she would hear me? No, apparently there's no microphones. So we're going to get her to come on back in here. Get back. That also does, of course, take an action. This guy's starting to freak. This guy's freaking out. Let's let him go to the break room. I think they calm down faster in the break room. All right, the doctor is freaking out now. All right, so let's go ahead and talk to him. Tell him to calm down. Now she just randomly freaked out. I don't know why, but she did. I didn't see what her animation was when she sat down. So where are these guys at? They are still pretty far away. So we need to go ahead and reinforce security. The guys are getting pretty close. He's kind of sad because she got shot, most likely. So we're going to calm him down a bit. Hey, relax. So he's still a little freaky. Unfortunately, that relaxed him a bit too much. So we're going to hold here. And let's go ahead and reinforce or charge hack boost. And we're going to switch the camera back to the corridor. See, it's very, very methodical. Like, you have to think about everything you're doing. And again, I really like a lot of portions of that, but a lot of it has its problems for sure. All right, so we got kind of a problem here. They're getting too close. You're going to negotiate. He might freak out soon. He's chilling out too much. All right, so this is a bit of a problem. He's freaking out. He's super relaxed. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go yell at him to kind of chill him out and hope he doesn't make a run for it. All right, so now he's really wigging out. So we're going to calm him down. And we've lost security. So, but these guys are relaxed. The army guys are still too far away to attack. They have to be pretty much right on the door. So what we're going to do, actually, you know what? We're actually going to have Jack attack. Why? Because I know sometimes he freaks out. Why do I know that? Because I've had to play this stage over and over again. So we're going to attack. They're getting way too close. Because sometimes he will freak out. And he won't, like, he'll have like a little mental breakdown. And you have to stop him. So we're losing a lot of hacking time. But I really don't want to lose him. I think he's okay for another round, though. So let's reinforce security. We really want to get this hacking back. Let's check. Hack the camera and check the break room. Again, I don't know what that animation means. And that's exactly what I mean as far as having to play over and over and over again. Because you have to learn, okay, this is super relaxed. This means he's about to make a run for it. Does this mean he's just about to make a run for it? Or is there one more stage of animations before he does? That kind of thing I do not like. So let's go ahead. You're going to shoot again to calm, basically to scare this guy a little bit and to push those guys back. Oh, and unfortunately, and this guy making a run for it. See, that's the kind of thing I don't like. The guy from the break room will just run. Like even though he's far away, he'll still freak out over things. The break room, to be honest, seems pretty worthless. Like, I can't find a good use for it because people will still freak out from in there, even if they were calm. Like the girl, she was in there for quite a long time. We came out and like the very next round, she attacked me, which means that I think that means that she was scared. So now here's a problem as well. Once you're down to one hostage, these guys are a lot more on the offense. They'll make a lot more, they'll move a lot faster. So go ahead and negotiate. So he's gonna negotiate. Now, let's go ahead and use the hack boost since we've got 72%. Do it. And keeping in mind, you had to fill both bars. It's a decent fill, but not fantastic. So let's switch the camera from the break room. We don't need that anymore to the corridor. Now, this is actually how I ended up beating the stage, except the woman was still alive. Basically, all I did was calm her down just below the point that she would run. I would have him shoot because eventually you actually lose the option to negotiate. I'm not quite sure why, but you do. So I'd have him shoot, which would scare her just a little bit. And then I would tell him to reinforce security because I'd never had a chance to do very rarely had a chance to hack boost. And then by the time he reinforced security, she was on the point of breakdown. I'd calm her down once or twice. These guards would be back up. So then I'd have him shoot once or twice to push them back, have him reinforce security. So it just became a loop of actions. And I have a big problem with that because it feels like, I feel like the repetition of this game, of doing the levels over and over, I feel like that repetition takes away a lot from what they're trying to put across. I feel like it really takes away, I'm going to reinforce security. I feel like it really takes away from, they're trying to push this like, oh, you know, your actions have a lot of weight to them. There's this, you know, these dark things you have to do. After you've done it about 6, 7, 8, 9 times, literally, it's not weighty anymore. I don't pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm just like, okay, I need to click this. I need to click this. I'm no longer sacrificing a person. I'm no longer letting a person be tortured more. I'm no longer sacrifice a person. No longer shooting them in the leg to keep them from running. I'm like, okay, I'm pushing button A. Now I'm pushing button B. I'm pushing button C in this sequence. So it completely takes you away, at least in my opinion, it completely pulls you out of the depth of the decisions you're making, and it becomes just pushing buttons. And, you know, if that's what they were going for, and I honestly highly doubt it, like, you know, on some higher level, like politicians sending off men to war, like, you know, it's just numbers to them of how many people have died versus being in the field and seeing them die. I don't think that's what they were going for. I think that's an unfortunate consequence to the way the game that was designed. So anyway, I can't multitask, so I apologize about that. So let's reinforce the security. Now this is actually easier than when I did it, because this guy obviously was remaining much calmer. She apparently is just very high strung, because even when we were just doing this, she kept going into panic states. So she seems to constantly be going up, up, up in her panic state, like no matter what's going on. Let's go ahead and charge the hack boost. That's what I meant to do last time, I think, but I misclicked. Charge the hack boost. Charge the hack boost. All right, so they're moving again, so we definitely can't have that. Hopefully he doesn't break down. Okay, so here's Jake's mental breakdown that he always has. Let's deal with him. Oops. Deal with him. I always do reprimand. Oh, yep. And they got too close. So again, normally if I was playing it safe, I would always just keep the guards way back, because I know that happens. I know that he always has a breakdown eventually. It only ever has one. So I would if I was really, really trying to win that, I would just hold them back, shoot like constantly. The minute they start to move forward, shoot them immediately. because then you have time to reprimand him, get him back, and have him shoot. And then put things right back in order. And then you don't have to worry about it because he's had his breakdown. And as far as I can tell, he never has another breakdown. So if you lose, it tells you why. Security forces burst into the scene. Shows your hacking progress, number of hostages you kept alive. Shaman lost 8% of data due to security leaks. So yeah, every time, that's the other thing that makes this pretty tedious. Every time you get a security leak or a security breach or whatever, you lose a little bit of your hacking progress. And seeing as how it's random, and you can have 70% security and still lose it, it's just tedious. There's too much RNG, in my opinion, and that again adds to you having to do it over and over. It's not difficult because it's all about finding a pattern. That's one of my definitions of difficult. If I can just read a walkthrough and easily just follow it through, it's not really that difficult. You can read a walkthrough of, say, something like Dark Souls, and you're still going to have a hard time because a lot of it's in the execution. You can read a walkthrough of the hardest mode of Doom or Duke Nukem or something like that. You're still going to die a lot because it's all about the execution. This, and I realize those are different types of things, and I don't want to degenerate into a discussion about what's difficult, what's not. The point is, I don't think this game is difficult at all. It's just about playing it over and over and over and over again and figuring out, oh, okay, well, this animation means this. Doing this causes this to happen. Oh, this, portion A happens after portion B. And I think that's a real shame because I like the story, and I'm not going to play through again. I'm just going to kind of talk about the story here, or, talk about my overall thoughts on the game. I like the idea. I want to tell you this. I feel like this is a Hotline Miami for me, in that I love the way, I like the idea of the game. I feel like I should totally love this, but then when I'm playing it, I feel like it's a good implementation, not really implemented in a great way. I hate trial and error gameplay, and I hate doing the same thing over and over again. I liken this to watching a good movie, and you get 15 minutes into the movie, you're really enjoying it, and the movie starts over again. And you have to watch the first 10 to 15 minutes again, and now you get maybe to the 30-minute mark, and the movie starts all over again. That's exactly how I feel when I'm playing this game, because I get I get to a certain point, I'm enjoying it, I like making the decisions, and then something happens that, oh, well, I didn't know that happened, or I had no way of knowing this, or I didn't know this part was going to happen, or blah, blah, blah. I didn't know this was going to change here, and I had no reasonable way to react to this. Now I have to start all over again. It's kind of the same thing, and like I say, by the time I've done it a few times, I feel like I'm completely disconnected from what I'm doing. For example, one thing you can do to keep them from running is to shoot them in the face. Well, shoot them in the face. That will also stop them from running. But you can also shoot them in the leg, and they won't be able to run. But they also bleed out. So after a few rounds, they'll actually die from bleeding out. Obviously, that kind of freaks out the other hostages too. If that's, might work in your favor, depending. But I was trying that strategy for a while, and at first I'm thinking, wow, that's harsh. Like, we're supposed to be helping these people. They're just scientists. We're using their data to try to, do good, and we're going to shoot these guys in the legs to keep them from running. That's effed up. By the third round of trying that strategy, I was like, okay, click here, shoot him in the leg, click here, shoot him in the leg. It, like I say, completely disconnected from the actions I was doing, and it became more about pushing the right buttons or pulling the right levers to get what I wanted. What I rather had seen was more of a, you do this and maybe you didn't do everything right, so you lost the hostages. Now this is the next mission. Not, well, you didn't do everything right, so now you have to start over. And there is that to an extent. There are things that can happen, definitely, that do not require you to start over. Absolutely. And this isn't really a spoiler. You could, like, say, lose all the hostages or most of the hostages. In fact, I already mentioned that. I lost all the hostages except for one and just kept cycling it to beat the stage. So there are definite things that can happen, bad things, quote unquote, that can happen. But a lot of times, and again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers for those of you who decide to play it. There are things that if your character dies, it's game over. You just auto lose. So it's just, like I said, I really want to like it. I really like the idea. I really would, like I say, prefer to have been, maybe if you really F up, maybe if you really screw up, all right, you lose, start all over, start the stage over again. But instead, what I run into, and this stage isn't as bad. There's one stage in particular that I'm on now, literally 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm being very generous here. We'll say 15 minutes, which I still think is generous. I didn't do everything right because it was my first time through. I had to start all the way over and do the entire thing again. And on top of that, a lot of times there's cinematics, well, in-game cinematics and dialogue bubbles. You just have to click through, and you still have to wait on the animation. So after like the 5th time of doing that and like waiting on the animation, it gets very, very tedious to do. And even the game itself at one point makes fun. Well, not really makes, well, they make fun of the fact that you have to play it over and over because somebody says something about, oh, there's a certain pattern if you pay attention. And your character says something like, well, gee, I wish I had multiple lives so I could memorize the pattern. Like, they knew that they were doing this. So it wasn't like it was a side product. This was the intended gameplay. So, and it seems like I'm really ragging on this game. If you are okay with doing the same thing over and over again, and if you are okay with the more trial and error type gameplay, then I think this would be a game that you would enjoy. I enjoy it when I'm doing it the first or second time, like trying to figure it out and weighing my decisions heavily and thinking about what I'm doing. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th time that I'm doing it, I'm just trying to get through the end at that point because I figured out most of the mechanics. I've figured out, I've metagamed it now, and I'm just trying to metagame whatever I need to do just to get past the stage, just to win. Even if, and I try to save all the hostages or whatever. But again, I've kind of metagamed it to figure all that out. So I think if I play through this again, for example, I could probably save at least 3 of the hostages, most likely. But it's because I've metagamed it, and that's just not, it doesn't feel very, very rewarding for me. But like I say, the story's really interesting. I'm very interested in seeing what's going on. I absolutely love this idea of, oh, you have to make these decisions, and it's not just I'm going to save and then try this and go, I didn't like that, I'm going to reload. It's you do this and this could have serious repercussions. And there's some pretty effed up things in this game. In particular, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's something with some particular sound effects that are pretty damn gruesome. So even with the graphics being like they are, there are parts that feel really dark and really make you go, oh wow, that's screwed up. So it's a real shame that I don't like this because I really, really wanted to like it. It's just a lot of flaws, like the illogicalness sometimes. Like I say, the guy shooting the grenades in here. Again, I'm just going to call that a flashbang and say that they jumped in and knocked us unconscious or whatever. That's fine. But there's another part where, how can I do this without spoilers? You're being asked questions, and you can be asked the same question over and over, and you always have to think about what the answer to that question is. It doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make any logical sense. And they do it for gameplay reasons, and it's just obvious that they do it. This game reminds you that you're playing a game a lot, which is an interesting disconnect, because it's really trying to get you to feel like you're making these really dark, making these really big sacrifices. You're sacrificing these people, like I said, you shoot this guy in the leg, and I blew her away to scare the other hostages. But then at the same time, you're thinking in a very, very macro, very metagame type sense on, okay, how do I beat this puzzle? Oh, and this animation means he's about to freak out, so I need to click the calm button. He's got three rounds to bleed out, so I know I need to wait until round 3 and then heal him, or whatever it is you do. But I think I'm kind of beating up on a dead horse at this point. But like I say, it's an interesting game. I really like the premise. There are some interesting other things like challenges. So for example, if you beat the game, or like say, don't let any hostages die or something like that, you get like bonus artwork, things like that. The game does support achievements. I don't think I've unlocked any yet. Also, one other thing I really like that Walking Dead had was when you beat a stage, it tells you your stats compared to others. So for example, it might say you didn't let any hostages free, you were in the 33 percentile, and 50% didn't let any hostages away, but then 10% let 3 hostages away. I really like stuff like that, especially in games where you're making a lot of decisions. I really like being compared to, seeing what my decisions were compared to how other people did. So I think that's really cool. And again, I don't want mean to sound like I'm ragging on the game. I don't think it's a bad game. I honestly don't think it's a bad game. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff here. I don't personally like the way it was implemented because I personally hate trial and error. I really hate redoing the same things over and over again. But if you are okay with that, and I think a lot of people are, or if it's something that you're not it's not a huge negative for you and you're okay with dealing with it just to get an interesting story, an interesting narrative. I'm talking about a game. I have to use the word narrative so I sound super smart. But it has a really compelling story and a compelling narrative. So if you're okay with that type of thing, and I know a lot of people are, then I think you should look at it. It's only $10. And again, I kind of want to beat it just to see what happens, because I actually am interested in what happens to the characters in the story. But I know I would just end up getting frustrated of doing the same thing over and over again. So that was Gods Will Be Watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. I feel like I'm going to be very disagreeing with a lot of other people, because I feel like this is one of those games that all the other people are going to praise endlessly, while I'm like, it's all right. But anyway, I'll be definitely very interested to see what you guys had to say in the comments below. If you've tried this, or if you do try it, let me know what you think in the comments below, what you thought of the game. I definitely want to hear that. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you next time.
Step back though. We are getting this worked up about a mobile game. I mean,
I do hate you though. I want to be 100% clear with a moment of seriousness. I hate your guts.